Welcome back to RRCE. Today we are going to cover hiking and all things Zion National Park, including some lessons learned. First, let's talk about the best time to go. From mid-March to 1 December, plus select weekends and Christmas week, the buses are running. This is something you'll want to find out about in advance if you're camping or staying in Springdale, as this makes it convenient to get to the park and to each of the hiking locations. There's also private companies that you can pay to use, but we found the shuttle line in the park moves quickly and we never waited more than 5 to 10 minutes. The buses that go from Zion into town may take a little longer, but come by at a very regular interval. I was very impressed with the free shuttle system. Weather should be another factor to consider on when to go. While it is hard to plan for things like rain so far out, going in, say, mid-March, we saw very few people willing to get into the icy cold water of the Narrows. We also noticed at this time of year, while it was 60 degrees at the start, there was snow and ice as we got near the top of Scouts Lookout and Angel's Landing. These are things to consider probably from November to mid-March or early April. Also, late June to August could be tricky for some people that don't want to hike in the heat. Another key factor in planning is picking your vacation time early for multiple day stays. One cheap, fun, and convenient option is camping. There's 3 main campgrounds on Zion. Watchman Campground is the largest and is conveniently located. Keep in mind, the dates available for this campsite is released 6 months out, and the prime times do fill up quickly. There's also the South Campground, which only allows dates to be picked 2 weeks out, which is good if you missed out on Watchmen. But this campsite has less options and is currently closed for rehab. Lava Point is the third site and is only open seasonally, just like the South Campground. This site has 6 spots only, and they're all tent-only sites, so keep that in mind. It's also an hour and 20-minute drive from the south entrance, and this is the area that we discussed earlier that has the shuttle line, the town of Springdale, and is convenient to many of the popular hikes. There are also several campsites in a 30 to 60-minute drive, but in my opinion, these are not nearly as convenient if you plan to spend long days out hiking. And part of that reason is the parking situation, which we will cover later. A pricier option that might be the best in Zion is the Lodge. The Zion Lodge is as close as you can get. You're right there in the middle of the action, and you can walk outside and start hitting trails right to some of the major and best hikes. You're also right off the bus stop, and you're next to the only 2 food places that are actually inside Zion. The Lodge has 75 rooms, and from what I've seen, typically starting at about $250 and up. Options outside of Zion would include the places in Springdale as well as further out. Now keep in mind, Springdale will typically be twice as much as if you go a little further out, but if you're in one of the spots that's right off a bus stop, it does add a lot of convenience. If you're further out, you will need to drive in, and parking is limited. So if you aren't there early, be prepared to park outside and pay a premium. Inside the park, there are hundreds of trails. Only one that I'm tracking is pet friendly. That same trail is also bike friendly, as well as the main road. When you're on the main road, you can see all the rules there, but you will have to yield to all the shuttles. As you enter the park, they'll give you a map that covers all these trails, or at least a lot of the main ones, the distance of the trails, which bus stop that they're off of, as well as kind of like an easy, medium, strenuous type rating. The video footage in the background includes some of the trails we did, including the upper, middle, and lower Emerald Pools, the West Rim Trail, Scouts Lookout, Angel's Landing, the Riverwalk, and the Narrows. The Emerald Pools trails were very mild trails, and we definitely saw kids, families, and groups of all different types and sizes. Depending on weather, you could encounter some thick mud on the trail, so just keep that in mind. There's also some good views of the park as you ascend, including some waterfalls you can see in the distance. The pools at the end are picture-worthy as well. Scouts Lookout might have been my favorite trail, as it was fairly challenging for a short trail. There are some steep sections, but great picture opportunities. As you make your way up, you start getting into shorter and shorter switchbacks, and you finally reach the top where you have some magnificent views and a large space where you can get pictures and just take everything in. There's also another peak off to the side that's an additional half a mile with some chains called Angel's Landing, and there's numerous videos on this portion of the trail. Just keep in mind, if this is something you want to do, again, it goes back to planning ahead, as this portion of the trail does require a permit. I did notice a lot of people by the top, they had or switched into spikes, they had trekking poles or things of that nature, and those could be helpful by the top if you have inclement weather. The Riverwalk in the Narrows is another popular trail set, and this might be one that you want to plan to do early, as this can be closed based on the Virgin River height and flow rate. Depending on conditions, you might not be able to see the river bottom as well. The Riverwalk is a mild paved trail that is ideal for wheelchairs that leads you from that last bus stop to the start of the Narrows. There are outfitters just outside of Zion that rent gear you might want for the Narrows, like water boots, insulated clothes, and walking sticks. This water can move fast and be quite cold, so keep that in mind depending on the time of year you go. This trail is nice in the fact that you have more of a private setting, as the amount of people really thins out pretty quickly as you start to move down the waterway. Outside of Zion, at the south entrance, you'll find the rental gear, as we mentioned, hotels, food places, and plenty of gift shops. Overall, I would say Zion is a good stop for camping, the views, and hiking, especially if you haven't been there before. Angel's Landing probably has the best views from the top there, and like I said, the Narrows was just a really enjoyable, more private, unique type of hike. The park is about a 3-hour drive from Las Vegas, which seems to be the place that a lot of people fly into to go out that way. And many people also do this as part of a loop where they include Bryce and the Grand Canyon National Parks and just hit all three in a loop session, over the course of a week or two. NPS.gov and Recreation.gov are great resources for more information, as well as information about booking camping sites or things of that nature, and any kind of news that you definitely want to check, because when things close, this is where you'll see that And you don't want to get all the way out there just to find out, hey, this road's closed out, or the park's closed for a week, or something of that nature. So hopefully the idea of this video is to cover some of the stuff around Zion that isn't covered quite as often, and to answer any questions you might have if you haven't been out there before. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe. Thanks a lot, and let me know what you want me to review or react to next.